We've heard about nurse shortages all across the country, but how do those numbers stack up locally? We have representatives from the local health systems and educational institutions here to talk about the status of our medical workforce and how they plan to meet the need. That's next on WNIN Newsmakers. Joining us are a couple of representatives from Deaconess Health System. Katie Burnett is the Director of HR Administration, and Jennifer Chisano is the Senior VP and Chief Nurse Executive. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So tell our viewers, is there a true shortage of medical workers in our region?
There is. There's both nurse shortage, respiratory therapists, imaging shortages. There's really a shortage of most positions in healthcare kind of across the board.
And so, Jennifer, what types of challenges does that create for the staff that are already in place? And for you as the Chief Nurse Executive in terms of finding those people to fill those spots and managing the staffing?
Yeah, so, each day it can be challenging. Some days are better than others, but it can present a problem. And we get very creative in how we staff and what we do and how we utilize other people to help take care of our patients.
Well, and when we talk about this need, so is the need actually greater? Are you seeing more influx of patients and things like that? Or are you seeing more people post-pandemic move out of the industry and try something new?
Yeah, probably moving people out of the healthcare industry post-pandemic. So we're doing a lot of campaigns to say, hey, it's a great place to be, a great career, and we try to, kind of tug at why people really get into healthcare. And we're starting early. Katie and the team have been starting even in middle schools, high school, to try to get people encouraged to go into healthcare. Because we all know, I've been at it a long time, it's a great profession, and I wouldn't do anything else. I think we're also seeing a trend down from the pandemic volume. So that's been kind of a little bit of a relief, but it still is pretty busy right now with a lot of other patients that are still getting their care caught up.
Well, Katie, you mentioned we were just talking about the types of positions. Sometimes people just think of nurses whenever they think of medical worker, but you mentioned respiratory therapists. What other types of positions do qualify under medical worker that people might not even think of?
So imaging, so when you think about rad techs and CT techs and ultrasound, all of those are really part of what we consider a medical worker, or a medical technologist in the laboratory is also somewhere, pharmacist. If you think of any position that you have somewhere in the city, we have some kind of version of it in healthcare, whether it's actually directly taking care of patients where we really have shortages, but also just the shortages we have for every position within the healthcare setting.
So when you're looking to find people to fill these positions, what types of things are you doing to recruit them? Are you looking for different types of incentives? If someone's maybe on the fence, they're looking for the second career, or they know that their child has always been interested in the healthcare field, what types of steps and what types of advice would you give someone that's watching?
I would advise them to start early, especially if you're interested in a healthcare career. Do observations while you're still in school. Make sure that it's the right fit for you. You can find areas of healthcare that you had no idea even existed. Right. So I encourage everyone to look early, contact the hospitals. We would be more than happy to have people come to Deaconess and observe the different areas while they're in school. Take advantage of medical programs while you're in high school. The Career and Technical Center has an amazing program that they can give career exploration, or you can actually get on a pathway into a specific healthcare career as well and get ahead of the game so that when you graduate from high school, you're ready to go and you're ready to enter the field.
Wonderful.
Start early.
Yeah, there are more incentives now than ever. And I think several of the incentives that, Katie has really worked on, we've all worked on, is those folks that are interested in healthcare, getting them to come in and looking at, what are sometimes their financial needs. The local schools for nursing, I know, work directly with the students to try to figure out what kind of financial needs they may have. We also have loan forgiveness at Deaconess, which has been really important for us and been a game changer for those really difficult to fill positions like nurses. So that's been a real home run for us.
So I know, and many times you also establish partnerships with educational institutions. What types of partnerships do you have going, either with educational institutions or maybe other community types of programs out there?
So between the high schools and the colleges, we work really closely with them to promote our positions and opportunities as a student to get your foot in the door, both through Earn and Learn with the educational opportunities at the universities. They promote those opportunities to their students, so whether they're interested in healthcare or not, we can draw them in that way. And then with our clinical programs, Jennifer and the nursing team, and really the entire clinical team, have worked really closely with their programs to make sure that they're aligned with the organizations. They are providing the best education possible and aligning them quickly to get them in the door at the hospitals.
Yeah, we're trying to get more clinical rotations because we know for our schools, if they have opportunities for lots of clinical rotations and faculty. Faculty that's a true shortage for academics right now. So we've got a lot of faculty coming in and sharing jobs with faculty. That's really important for us right now to make sure that we've got people that can teach the students. So we're partnering very closely with our local schools to do that.
Wonderful. Well, and sometimes whenever people think of the medical professionals, they think, oh, I've got to go to school for 4 years, or I need all of these trainings and certifications. And in some cases that is true, but what types of training do different medical professionals need? And there's not always 4 years of school, correct?
Right, that is correct. I mean, we start out at Deaconess to be a patient care tech. You don't have to have any experience at all. So you can come to us with no experience as long as you've got a really good heart and passion for healthcare. We can basically put you through a program and help you get trained to become a patient care tech. From there, we've done things like we have programs that take a patient care tech all the way through. You've got examples of how we've had some that became registered nurses in that way. As you know, some of our academic programs are 2-year programs as well as 4-year programs. So that long period of time isn't a showstopper for you to get into healthcare.
And we try to remove barriers for people as well, especially if they're looking for a second career. You can get your foot in the door, start in one of those entry-level positions, and we will pay for you to go to school as if you were working part of the time that you're working. So part-time employment, part-time going to school, but getting a full-time paycheck and benefits, which is a game changer for a lot of people. And we have over 50 people participating in that program right now.
Wonderful. Well, Katie and Jennifer, thank you so much for all of your information. We hope that we'll be able to get these jobs filled and maybe people can find themselves in a second career. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're joined by Jessica Miklo, Recruitment, Retention, and Recognition Coordinator at Ascension St. Vincent. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So what is really driving the need for medical professionals in our area?
Yeah, so we've had, definitely with COVID and everything, we had a lot of nurses kind of find other opportunities such as traveling, potentially finding jobs elsewhere. So it's kind of driven the need higher because we have a lot less bedside nurses than there used to be. For example, I was a bedside nurse the last 3 years, and I know it was definitely wear and tear on us through the pandemic. So hoping to get that back up as with recruitment and other ideas.
So when you're talking with someone trying to recruit people into nursing positions, what are some of the things that you use to entice people to become a nurse? Because it's a very noble position, but it can be very, very difficult work.
Yeah, so it's definitely a difficult job, but it is very rewarding. I try to tell nursing students that, especially when they're struggling through school, that they are getting close and can finish that race. So it is an incredible position. I feel like it's a very respectful job to care for others and families and relationships. So I try to entice them by telling them personal stories and experiences that I've had at the bedside. Working for a nurse the last 3 years just really changed my impact, I think, to those students, and having those stories and experiences to share with them of all the lives that I've helped change or influence in one way or another.
Most definitely. And when you're talking with them, we talked a little bit about some incentives earlier, but what types of incentives does Ascension St. Vincent offer? And how about benefits? I mean, benefit packages are usually a big deal whenever you're looking for a permanent position and career.
Absolutely. So we do offer tuition reimbursement, which has been very rewarding, I think, through the associates we have currently. We also partner with a lot of schools for specific programs like RN to BSN. I kind of help contact all of those schools as well to get the information out to other associates of what opportunities we have for tuition reimbursement. We do have great benefits currently for new grads. We also have a sign-on bonus, which is great to hopefully get them in the door and keep them to stay, which is nice since there's no commitment with that. But that is definitely something where hopefully we'll gain some new nurses.
Well, we've talked a lot about nurses in our segment, but what are some of the other medical professional positions you're trying to fill? Because it's not just about nursing, right? There are lots of other people that make a hospital work.
Absolutely. Patient care techs are a big one. Definitely nurses. We've got ultrasound techs. We've got radiology needs. I've gotten really close with one of the radiology educators at St. Vincent, and she's showed me all the positions that really are needed through the hospital and things that I didn't know, because I think we do focus so much on nursing. It's nice to know there are other positions and opportunities out there if you are searching for a healthcare job, but it's not nursing. So we do have positions throughout the hospital that definitely need to be filled.
So whenever you're looking at a shortage like this, and maybe you're looking at nursing shortage, or maybe it's difficult to recruit physicians, are there different workarounds that you can do in terms of scheduling, or can a patient see a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant as opposed to being seen by a physician? How do you kind of handle those types of things?
I think some of that depends on the department. I know they've tried to do a lot of telehealth visits through like the Ascension medical groups. That's been really helpful. I myself have done that as a patient. It's nice I didn't have to go in and spend the time. So seeing nurse practitioners, other maybe physician's assistants, may be more helpful if the physicians are overbeared with patients.
Well, and I know that University of Evansville, just to focus on one program, has now created a physician's assistant program that is now becoming quite full and quite robust. Can you explain if there's a big difference between a nurse practitioner and a physician assistant, or is that kind of a similar type of position?
I think they are very similar. They're often utilized in different departments. So like the emergency department, for example, does utilize physician's assistant often. Other things like GI, they use a lot of nurse practitioners. So I think it's more preference of department, the area you're in, things like that.
So how early is Ascension trying to get to these students? I know that you mentioned some partnerships with different schools. So if someone is young out there, a parent knows that their young child is really looking at maybe medical professionals or something like that, what do you have to encourage them?
So I also help connect with the tech center in Evansville that EVSC does, and also Central's MPA program. We do a lot with those students, try to get them internships, foot in the door, career shadowing. We have a lot of volunteer opportunities, so we're really trying to get them into the door as early as possible. We're actually having an event in March that we will invite high school students, juniors and seniors to teach about all the healthcare opportunities in Ascension.
Tell them some of the things that they can expect. I know that it's not just an 8 to 5 shift a lot of times, but many people often will say that they're night owls anyway. So what types of things should you expect if you're looking to get into a healthcare career?
Yeah, so we have all kinds of positions and shifts available. We have a lot of 12-hour day shifts and night shifts available. Sometimes they are able to do 8 hours, but we do prefer 12 if you're in a hospital setting, especially as a patient care tech or a nurse. We do have a lot of medical groups through Ascension that has more Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 hours, if they're looking for something similar to that.
So when someone's getting into, say, for example, the nursing professional, sometimes you want to go straight into that doctor setting, 8 to 5, great hours, those types of things, but that's not always the career path or the path that you can take in order to do that. Do you find that sometimes you have to get your foot in the door and kind of get some experience underneath your belt in those types of positions before moving more into an office setting?
Yes, I would say you're more likely to get the position and shift that you request. If you get your foot in the door early, I can say I did all of my student nurse internships at St. Vincent when I was in nursing school. I think it helped me create those relationships with the managers. I got a job fairly quickly after graduation, and now seeing how nursing is now, I help interview those new grads. And now with the summer program and internships, we've had a lot of managers that don't feel the need to interview those students. They immediately offer them a position. So it's nice. I feel like they have a lot more opportunities today than maybe we would have a few years ago.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Jessica, for all of your information. We hope you fill all of those jobs.
Thank you.
Now we're speaking with Dr. Kevin Valadares, Chair of Health Services and Health Administration at USI, to talk about the programs available to train the medical professionals of tomorrow. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Amy.
So, if someone is interested in becoming a medical professional, and of course that's a loaded term, there's so many options, right? What are some of the programs that you offer at USI?
So at USI, there's a variety of educational opportunities. I live and work in the College of Nursing and Health Professions, where most of those programs exist. And we have a lot of diversity in terms of our programs, clinical and non-clinical programs at the undergraduate and graduate level. And they range certainly from our undergraduate nursing program to dental hygiene to rad tech and sonography, but also our health services, health administration, our programs in gerontology and aging. And so there's lots of different pathways that students can enter into, that can switch and change. And all of them have obviously a hands-on perspective, a clinical perspective, an internship or residency perspective. So lots of different avenues. And there's a lot of interest in healthcare right now. The pandemic has sort of fueled it. And I would just say for any individual, wherever they are in life, either coming out of high school, maybe transferring from another opportunity, or wanting to enter into the healthcare workforce as what we call an adult learner, we have all the options available. And it's just a matter of either checking things out, but talking to people as well, so they can really start their career. Because what we need is healthcare leaders in the future.
Right, and you mentioned, really the sky's the limit, right? Whenever many people think of medical professionals, they go straight to the doctor, the nurse, or something like that. But there's so many supportive roles, managerial roles that really support that whole system, correct? And you've got so many opportunities for them as well.
Anyone who's ever been a patient or been a family member who's taken care of their loved ones knows that there's lots of different avenues. During the pandemic, as an example, respiratory therapists really rose to the top because there was so much of a need for individuals to use respirators. It's the respiratory therapists who really own that, and an incredibly growing field. Certainly our long-term care field, it's known as post-acute care, requires caregivers and individuals behind the scenes. All these things also work on a technology-based system. And so understanding how technology integrates with healthcare and how individuals can access it on their phone is a huge part as well. So a wide variety of programs.
Well, and there's an exciting new partnership collaboration, right, that I want to ask you about. This really came to bear through the Talent EVV and working with other organizations. Explain to us your new program and your new collaboration that you've become part of.
Sure, Amy. So this program initiative is called Earn and Learn. And Earn and Learn is a collaborative effort between Ivy Tech, University of Evansville, USI, and the Deaconess and Ascension St. Vincent systems. And it really has been those entities marching down this road together. The educational institutions already have partnerships with all of the clinical entities in the community, but this is really a pathway for students who are enrolled in programs at all three institutions to secure part-time opportunities in healthcare at Deaconess and Ascension St. Vincent while they're in school. So these are entry-level positions, some clinical, some non-clinical. Earn and Learn really accelerates the process because anyone can apply for a position right now, but really this is an opportunity that benefits the learner, the student, so they can earn some money and learn while they're in school, but it also benefits the healthcare institutions who are in dire need of these entry-level positions. The healthcare institutions have been fabulous to work with, and they want to retain these individuals when they finish their degree to work full-time in healthcare. So we have the supply at USI, U of E, and Ivy Tech, and it's really about making a better match. And so we've set up a process where they can, through a QR code, essentially be connected immediately to recruiters to find the best opportunity and hopefully to start something that works in their schedule. We also want to develop, we are developing a professionalism certificate program right now at the educational institutions to help these individuals adjust to sort of the realities of the work world.
Right, right. And how many students do you have in the program now, and do you really envision this growing? It's such a wonderful thing to have everyone working together toward the same goal.
It really is. So right now we launched Earn and Learn in October-ish of 2022. We have about 20 students all together right now working, but we certainly envisioning this as an ongoing type of thing. There is no end date to this because there's no end date to the demand of healthcare workers. But it's really growing it, adding other positions, and perhaps down the road also adding in other organizations as well who have other needs, but really matching. So I guess we play matchmaker, the students to opportunities.
Wonderful. Well, Dr. Valadares, thank you so much for sharing all that information today, and we appreciate the program and hope that it becomes very successful for everyone.
Thank you, Amy.
Training and education for medical positions can begin in high school. Here to talk about the EVSC's opt-in program are BJ Watts, the executive director of the program, and Robin Webkenberg, CTE counselor. Thanks for coming in today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
So explain to us, what is the opt-in program exactly?
One of our major goals is just to educate students on what opportunities exist within our community. For so long, kind of the default was you need to go to a four-year school in order to be successful. So now we don't push our kids in any direction. If you want to be an accountant, we support that completely and help you get there. But we understand that there are many different pathways, many different options that we lay out for kiddos, and kind of trying to figure out what their passion is and then pair that with our industry partners.
Wonderful. So what are some of the programs in the medical professionals field, because that's what we're kind of talking about tonight, is the medical professional shortage. So what types of things do you have for them?
Well, healthcare in particular is an area where there are a lot of different on-ramps. So you may have some students that graduate high school and they're ready to go straight into a patient care technician with a little training. There may be students that go and they pursue that associate's degree. There may be that do certifications, and then some that go on to that bachelor's degree, master's degree, and go on in. It's just educating students that there are more things in healthcare than just nurse and doctor.
Most definitely.
And I think laying out what those pathways look like also, like if this is your goal, then this is what the education requirement looks like. And I think it's important to note that we sit down with the end user. We sit down with the hospitals and with those folks at Deaconess especially and say, okay, what is your most immediate need and what are your projected needs? And then we can build programs around what those are. So those are, we sat down about a year ago and worked out what their 5 largest needs, immediate needs were and projected needs, and then built a program around those with those on and off ramps that Robin referred to. All of that coursework leads to a 1-year certification. Then you continue on to an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree. So that way the student starts, I know I want to do healthcare, but I'm not sure exactly what. Mm-hmm. And that kind of gives them lots of on and off ramps. And it's just laying out what those opportunities are for the students and allowing them to kind of pick their path.
So you mentioned Deaconess Health System. What other types of community partnerships do you have just beyond Deaconess?
So we work with Deaconess, obviously, at the Career and Technical Center, this SICTC, the Health Science Program. They do clinicals with their students in a lot of the healthcare facilities throughout. Ascension being one, some long-term care facilities, Trilogy is another one. Really, they are open, and we are open to any place that will accept our students and feel like that our students do bring value to the table. They're learning, they're not perfect, they're not turnkey.
Yes.
But a lot of times if we can just get them in there and they can learn some of those skills, patient care, learning whether they like being in a healthcare setting. We've said before, elimination is just as important as confirmation. It is sort of like student teaching. Like, do you know you want to be a teacher if you've not been in a classroom? Do you know you want to be in healthcare if you've not been in working with patients, sick people, people that have long-term care needs?
Right.
So we like to get them in early if we can.
So you're seeing much interest in the medical professions. We've been talking about the medical professional shortage, and we want to get people in that pipeline. Are you seeing much interest? And if someone's interested, or you have a parent who's noticed that interest in their child, what kind of things would you tell both the student and the parents?
Well, I think that's where, like, Robin and I go out and have conversations with the high schools, especially with those students, and lay out, okay, we're going to be talking about the healthcare field. So we will email students, email every student, email every parent, send a text message to every student, a text message to every parent to come down. Just like, we don't push you in a direction, we just want you to understand what those opportunities are. So when they come down, I feel like we have a really good handle on what that high school process looks like, but we just received a grant from the state, because this is not only a Evansville concern, but also a statewide and nationwide concern. So the state has put $65 million through the Department of Education into a grant that we received $1 million from.
Wonderful.
To explore, engage, experience. And what that is going to allow us to do is to break that, 9 through 12, we're pretty good at what we're doing right now, but what does that K-8 spectrum look like? Like, how can we go into the younger grades to just expose students to these careers?
Beyond a nurse and a doctor.
Absolutely.
What does a sterile processing tech do? That is a really high need right now, and a lot of students don't know what that is.
Yeah, so that's kind of our goal. And so when we lay out, okay, this is when we hit those K through 8 that allow students to make decisions maybe a little more, maybe I do want to do MPA when I'm in high school. I want to go to Central and do that. I do want to go to the Career and Tech Center and look at those health science programs. So that's our goal, is kind of back it up to that K-8 spectrum, just to kind of give those students a little bit of knowledge. Robin, what is your favorite buzzword that the redundancy?
Oh, intentional redundancy.
Like,
intentional
we go
redundancy.
a little bit deeper every time we have that conversation, so the kids just understand what and our focuses are manufacturing, healthcare, and skilled trades, which are the largest 3 employers in not only Evansville, but also Region 11.
Yeah. So what, if someone's interested, if a student is interested in this, Robin, when you talk with them, what types of things are you telling them? How do you prepare them for what they're getting ready to get into?
Well, our main focus is explaining to them there are many different options other than being a nurse or a doctor, but also what our healthcare partners are how they're willing to invest in them if they come to work for them. I'll use Deaconess as an example, because they are a partner of ours that will take students as young as 16. Now, that's only into a couple of areas. They'll take them, one of them is environmental services. So it's not patient care, but students quickly learn, like, they're not in patient care if they're working at a fast food job or something, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, but Deaconess is going to pay them a very similar wage to come in and learn about how important it is to keep a sterile environment. You get to meet people in the hospital, you learn your way around the hospital, and what we hear from our students is their managers are talking to them about their goals. Okay. Where do you see yourself? Neonatal, okay, well, let's get you over here on this floor. Let's show you what that looks like. And so when they are ready, when they've turned 18, whenever they have graduated high school, they're ready to move into that next step. And then they're going to give them some support. There's some tuition reimbursement. Once they've been there for a while, they can apply for that. There's step-up programs where they actually get paid for time in class. And so the Human Resources Department, they go over all of that with the kids. But I just think our kids don't know about those things.
Wonderful. Well, BJ and Robin, thank you so very much for all of your information. Sounds like it's a very exciting time for students.
It's exciting work, yeah.
Well, thanks to all of our guests for talking about the shortage of workers in medical care and how it affects us locally. Thanks for watching WNIN Newsmakers.